With so much talk recently about mobile power stations and everything that the new lithiums will do, we've got on test here the AC70 from Bluetti, and let's see if this can actually replace a 12-volt system in your four-wheel drive. I've never had anything like this. Bluetti have sent this up to us. It's the A70 power station. So think of it as a lithium generator of sorts. This is 1,000 watts and 768 watt-hour battery. Lovely to look at. It's form functions very small. It's portable. It's easy to carry around. It comes with two 240 watt AC outputs, two normal USB sockets, two USB-C sockets, a SIGGI socket. It's got a input from a solar panel or a car charger just straight into the SIGGI plug like that one, or these are your standard solar connectors that come just straight onto any solar panel to charge it up, or of course you can charge it up with 240. So I've gone ahead and charged it to 100%. What I thought we'd do today is just run through what we could use this for at home and on the campsite and in the 4B, and see if it's something that A, you would want to buy, and B, if it's useful, and C, would I replace my 12-volt system in the car with this? So there's three main ways to charge this unit up. Firstly is the 240. So there's an input here in the side, plug the 240 in, normal kilowatt. The transformer is actually in the box now, so it's literally just a cord. There's no box to plug it into. Straight into that, straight into the wall. I charged this up earlier, and I think it was about 2.5 hours to fully charged. It was sitting at about 20%, I think. There is a mode accessible via the app or by pressing, I think it's these two buttons together, where you can turbocharge it, and that'll take it from 0 charge to 80% in about 45 minutes off the 240 volt off the wall charger. So that's pretty fast. There's also an eco mode, which drops the input down a lot, makes it a lot quieter. It's a lot slower, but it is an eco mode. I suppose if you're charging it maybe off something that's not as stable like a generator, which would kind of defeat the purpose. But anyway, the word of caution is if you do use the turbo charging too much, because it sits at about 850 or 900 watts input, it's going to shorten the lifespan of the battery. These are good for about 3,000 cycles, which is massive. It's huge. If you use that turbo too much, I would say you'd probably shorten this battery life a lot faster, so be careful with that. Next is the SIGGI charger. So it's got a solar and PV input here. It uses the same plug straight into your SIGGI in the car. And third option, which is probably the best one when you're out camping, is the solar. So again, straight in there. These are your standard solar connectors into a solar blanket, rooftop panel, whatever you have. This will take up to a maximum of 500 watts, and that'll just, depending on the sun, it will charge it appropriately. If it's a really good sunny day in the middle of summer, it'll charge it faster than a less sunny day in the winter. So now we've talked about how to charge it, how will it run when we're outside. So let's try first. I thought I'd start with the lowest, I'm guessing the lowest power consumption. And let's see how hard we can drive this with the high power consumption later on. So we're going to start off with the DC outputs. USB-C up to 100 watts. USB-C cable. Let's just turn that on. We'll turn on the DC. 9 watts, 10 watts. So it's using a little bit of power, not much. At this, it says that'll go for another 73, 76 hours. We've got two phones charging and a camera, all off the DC output USBs, and we're at 36 watts, so it says we've still got 19 hours left, so this will charge all these continuously for 19 hours, which is pretty cool. It's going to take us a long time to run the battery down at this sort of level. So I might unplug all of these and we'll go on to heavier power consumption stuff. Okay, next, MacBook Pro on the USB-C on the 100 watt. Let's see what the MacBook Pro will come in at. 43, 60, 77, 75. So about 70 watts. It's going to charge the laptop up at. A little bit more power hungry. All right, let's start getting into the big stuff. I just want to talk quickly about what I'd like to see in this. This is, in my opinion, a cracking unit, but doesn't come with an Anderson plug connector. SIGGI's fine. had one of these for a wee while. The problem with the Siggy plug is they're not as solid as a connection. These might, if you're in a 4-wheel drive, these might wriggle loose over time. Whereas if we had an Anderson somewhere here to plug it into, these don't come loose as easily. So next cab off the rank is the 55 litre old Waco that we have. All right, so what's that coming up to? 43 watts, so actually not heaps. That's about as much as the laptop was drawing, which actually surprises me. So given that that's full power trying to cool the fridge down, that's going to run, if it was running full time, which it won't, because once it gets the temperature, it'll cycle through. That'll keep going for 19 hours, nearly 20 hours. So if you had a bit of solar during the day on the campsite, because you can charge this while you're discharging it, it's not exclusive to each other, you could nearly have this, if you could get enough solar into it on the campsite, you could probably run a fridge like this for a fair few days without depleting it, providing you had enough sun. Yeah, that'll go for 21 hours. So what you might want to do in this situation, if you were going camping with this as your main power source, I would plug this into the 240 at home, pack it with your food, chill it down so it's not having to make it cold. When it only has to keep it up to temperature, it's going to handle that a lot better. It probably will last for a day and a half without any charge in it. Other things you really want to look after as far as power consumption with a fridge like this does have a blanket on it, a cover. It's one of these insulated type jobbies. That keeps it a lot cooler. It keeps the compressor from working too hard. And if you just have it sitting on the back of a tray, the sun's going to belt into it. Put a cover over it, put it in shade, put it underneath your awning, do something to keep it out of the sun as much, and this will not have to work as hard, meaning that won't have to work as hard. And you'll have cold beers for longer, which is what it's all about. Everybody loves a toasty maker. And when you're camping, what's better than a toasty maker? Cheese and ham and onion. Woo-hoo, my good. Right, already on, straight up to 985 watts. So the toasty maker is cranking this up, but it's running it. So that's super impressive. Yeah, that's hot now. You could get the cheese and ham and onion toasties, a bit of tomato maybe too. Straight on. That's really impressive. I like it for the size of this. So this is brand new. Bluetti have only brought this out in the last, I believe it's 6 months. There is other models to choose from. This is, I suppose, a really compact model at a budget price, but the form factor is quite small. It's really portable. It runs a heap of stuff. One of the reasons I like this is we've been having a few power cuts here and there with a few storms in the last few months. If you did have a power cut, there's nothing to stop you plugging in a fluorescent light into this, so at least you've got decent light in the place, and you could also plug your fridge in for a wee while and it would run your house fridge. So you don't lose all your food, especially your freezer. So this in a storm situation would get you out of trouble if the power came back on within a few hours. I think this would really help for that. I wouldn't be me without trying everything at once. So we've got the laptop plugged in, toasty maker plugged in, the battery charger plugged in, camera, drone, the fridge, my phone, all plugged in and going, charging. I love this little thing. It's cool. It's very cool. This is the air fryer out of the kitchen, so it's not a camping one. We do have camping ones that are a little bit smaller, but I left it at the shed. We're not at the shed, so we're just trying the house one. So this potentially, it says 1800 watts. On the bottom of this is what it's rated for. This is a 1000 watt inverter, surging to 2000, or lifting up to 2000, I should say. I don't expect this to work very well, but we shall try it. So let's plug it in. Turn it on. Now, bear in mind the fridge is still running too. 180 to 15, that's quite good for hot chips. Pretend there's hot chips and there's nothing in it, but let's pretend there's hot chips in there. So it's tripped it. So what's cool about this is if we jump onto the Bluetti app, this has got a function in it called power lifting. So it'll power lift the 1000 inverter to a pseudo 2000 watts. Power lifting, swipe that across. You'll see a little strong arm on the screen. That's on. Oh, it's going. Right. It's going at 860 watts. I don't understand how this works. What I think happens is it doesn't put as many volts in I think I'm right in saying that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it still runs it, but it's definitely working. So the powerlifting function somehow is running it. Cool. Tradies again. Hot chips for lunch, maybe a pie. Why not? Full disclosure, this is Alison's kettle, and she'll kill me if she thinks I'm using this out in the garage. This is not a camping kettle. Let's turn it on. Strong arm still on. You see at the back here, kettle's on. What are we looking like? 726 watts. This normally when you crank it in at home, you can hear it go quite quickly. We might give this a couple of minutes. We're at 86%. We'll wait until this boils and see how much percentage it actually has taken out. So let me come back to you very quickly. So what we're finding is we've actually unplugged the fridge. It is tripping this, but not immediately. So if we turn this back on, the kettle will come on. It's nearly boiled. You'll hear the water firing up, but it's actually tripped twice now. It just comes up with an alarm signal on the Bluetti, and everything shuts down. And it's as easy as just pressing it off, resetting it, pressing it back on again, and it comes back on. We're still at 80% charge, so it hasn't damaged anything. We'll just see if it's going to trip. No, that was just the screen turning off. Oh, okay, it has. It's tripped. So you see that's gone off. So it might just be a bit too much for it. This is rated between 2,000 and 2,500 watts, so you can't blame it for tripping at that. I'm super impressed. It's probably hot enough now to make a cup of tea with anyway. So yeah, if you had to, it would work, but it's probably not recommended. So we will unplug that. So that probably brings us to the end of our review of the Bluetti. Would I use one of these in my car? Absolutely, I would. I think if you were starting out, and not so much starting out, but if you didn't want to go to the whole bother of wiring up an entire 12-volt system in your vehicle, this is probably a really good thing just to throw in, strap it down. You've got power for anything you want to have power for. You can run your fridge, you can run lights, and if you had LED lights, they would run forever on this. Phone charging, any of that sort of stuff. If you had to, make a Toastie, because it'll run it, maybe not for that long. This is a very good option of a 12-volt system for somebody who's not hugely power hungry. Easily put it in a car. I know as a photographer, without camping, if I'm driving along in just a car and I want to charge camera batteries, drone batteries, I want to run a fridge in the back of my car for a while, this is perfect because you don't have to wire it in, and you could take it home every night, plug it into the wall, charge it, ready for the next day's work. So if you're in your car all day, every day, and you go home at night time and you don't want to put a 12-volt system in, this would be absolutely perfect, and it doesn't take up much room. So it's a big tick from me, the Bluetti AC70. So there is a link right below this video. If you want to go to Bluetti's website and check it out for yourself, click on the link, see what they've got, and jump in. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. If you've got this far, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.